The making of every documentary begins with the same elements: a vision, desire, and drive, as in the case of Henry Hampton and William Miles. Translating these ideas to film to tell a story begins with pre-production. Pre-production begins with initial research. A filmmaker will utilize many resources to gain a broader view of the topic at hand and assemble basic factual information on the subject. A proposal is the next step and one of the most important. A proposal's purpose is to get funding for a project. It is submitted to a fund, foundation, television channel, or individual investors. A proposal includes information such as the working hypothesis for the film, the central events, main characters, conflict, social significance, structure, and the resolution. A treatment is similar in function to a proposal, but helps the reader actually visualize the project as it would appear on the screen, rather than simply get a grasp of what the film will be about. A treatment will colorfully state what the viewer will be seeing and hearing in the finished program.
Organize, mobilize campaign.
More thorough and specific research is then done once the project gets rolling. Books, videos, photographs, journals, articles, footage, pre-interviews, and conducting archival research are all methods of gaining a firmer grasp of the topic at hand. Pre-interviews are often recorded over the telephone, and they serve to decide if someone would be an exceptional interviewee and if they remember the events in question.
Would you mind if I taped them?
No, that'll be all right.
Okay, great. What I wanted to ask you specifically about is the freedom rides.
When they tried to sit up front, they were jailed or thrown out.
Pre-interviews can also act as a research tool and provide additional insight to the interviews that make it into the final film. At Blackside, intensified information sessions over a period of 2 to 3 weeks, called School, were held prior to filming to educate the production team on the subject matter. Experts, academics, scholars, activists, musicians, and participants were brought in as guest speakers. As production draws nearer, the creation of a budget plan is necessary. The budget will continuously change throughout production. All expenses must be taken into account, from the cost of the production and post-production staff to the necessary materials, such as film stock and camera equipment rentals. The rights to use certain footage and photographs must also be paid for. Then, it's finally time to begin filming. Once the time-consuming pre-production process is finally completed, the production stage begins. Scripts and outlines are important elements of pre-production and production, for they provide a sense of direction for the film. Outlines are general sketches of the film, written in pre-production to demonstrate the basic structure and necessary elements. Scripts usually evolve throughout the production process until a final version is created. The final script marries narration and voiceovers with the on-screen images. Hours of interviews provide a wide range of possibilities for the film. Not everything that is said in front of the camera makes it into the final program. Hours of unused interview footage, called outtakes, must be set aside, for filmmakers choose very carefully what footage is most useful. Stock materials, such as photos, images, and newspaper headlines, are also major components of what goes into the end product. With historical documentaries, such as those produced by Blackside, finding stock materials to illustrate your story is imperative. Stock footage can come from many different sources, which means that oftentimes may be subject to copyrights. After much refining, a fact-checked narration is then recorded to tell the story by accompanying the stock footage and interviews.
Their courage made no difference in Sumner, Mississippi.
Production calls for a great amount of communication between members of the production team. Internal memos and meetings are frequent to make certain that everyone stays updated, on schedule, and remains on the same page. In post-production, all of the hard work done thus far comes together to tell the story. Any text or animations are added at this stage. Storyboards often provide templates for such post-production work. Transcripts are written once post-production begins, providing a textual version of all interviews and other footage to assist with organization. Post-production also consists of all the sound mixing and editing, which involves multiple rough cuts and frequent screenings, but also includes publicity and distribution. Pamphlets, educational booklets, companion volumes, and program guides are oftentimes released with the film itself. There are many components that go into making a documentary, and the success of the finished film relies on all of them.